Welcome to the final installment of our epic outback journey, culminating in a trackless crossing across the Simpson Desert. For those of you considering, or perhaps even planning, a trip of this nature, this is probably one of the most important videos of this series. Today we'll hear about the highs and lows from each of our participants, and most importantly, their recommendations should you be considering a trip of this nature. I'd encourage you to listen to this stuff really closely because there is absolute gold in this. I've watched a lot of overlanding videos on YouTube, and I have not seen an account that is more deeply personal or honest than what you're going to see in the next 20 minutes. It speaks volumes about the character of my fellow Jafffa travelers, and I think it'll be really evident that you'll see why I love these guys so much. Finally, before handing over, I'd like to call a special thanks out to Kim and Chrissy and Jill and Matt for their photo and video content. The quality of this production is a direct reflection of your guys' skills behind the lens. So again, thank you so much. To the Jafffa crew specifically, I trust you've enjoyed this 12-part series of our trip. I've tried to bring to life through pictures, through video, through audio, and through storytelling exactly what our trip was like, and I hope that I've done that. I love you all dearly. Enough said, let me hand over now to the Jafffa crew for their final thoughts. Goodbye, everybody. What I thought we might do is just ask everybody a couple of questions. And the questions that were sort of on my mind were, one, what was the highlight of the trip? What was one of the lowlights, or maybe we'll word that a little bit differently, perhaps maybe a challenge that you faced during the trip? And one other one, if somebody else, if you were going to recommend to somebody that were considering doing something like this, what advice would you give them? So I'll go first because you guys can think, because I sprung that third question on you. So for me, the highlight of the trip would have to be, I really enjoyed the off-road bits through the Simpson. It was just, it was out there. You know, it was a big challenge. We weren't following any tracks. We had to do it on our own, and that for me was just a real highlight. The low light, or one of the challenges for me, was my own stupidity. I didn't tie a jerry can down on the back of the car, and it rubbed through the paint on the tailgate, which was a real bit of a bummer, but it happens. And if I was going to recommend, or if somebody wanted to do this trip and I had to give them one recommendation, be prepared. Know your own capabilities, know your car's capabilities, and do it with people that you know and you can trust. Because you can't do that sort of a trip alone. It's just too dangerous. So that's it for me. And there's amazing things you can do post-production with editing. That's right. Like put words in your mouth. So the first question is, what was the highlight of the trip for you, Scott?
My highlight would have to be Ruby Gap. I thought that was amazing. Yeah. Just the cliffs, the setting, the camping in the river under that big cliff was absolutely awesome. Yes.
Agree. Yeah, cool. Okay, one of the challenges of the trip for you?
Probably the challenges I found would have been the unknown with the economy of taking a petrol auto into unknown terrain, especially when it's off track.
Yeah.
What have you allowed enough to do the trip?
Get through,
and not also impact on other people's trip by poor preparation.
Yeah.
That's
fair enough. Yeah. And in the end, you economized correctly, but
yes.
You're right. It's an unknown, isn't it?
That's it. All an unknown. Yeah. So
Okay, and if somebody wanted to do a trip like that, what recommendation would you give to them?
I would say that when you're going with a group of people listen to their advice. That is the one big thing. Because everyone knows something a little bit different, but you're always learning.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Scott, because everybody's got egos.
And, you got to put the ego in the back shelf.
Exactly.
So
true, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah, cool, excellent, dude. Alrighty, Matt. So on this trip, what was one of the highlights for you?
The highlight for me was, I can't remember the name of the actual track we were on, but it was a track where we all had to get out and move the rocks and actually form the track.
That's right, yes.
So that to me was very special, because if I was there by myself, I probably wouldn't have done that track.
Yep.
But you said to me, we can do this, it's achievable, and I always respect your word, and we got out, we had a look, we can do this. And for me to put my vehicle, in the hands of the person on the end of the radio was a big call.
Yeah.
Because that person, there was a lot of trust, and that person was putting your vehicle in that position. It wasn't you behind the wheel, it was the bloke on the end of the radio. So yeah, that was a big thing for me, and without talking it up, that was fairly full on. And I'm pretty sure we could all vouch for that.
Bloody oath, mate. We had track building to do, and wheel placements had to be perfect. And not one of us through the 4 vehicles bruised a vehicle or had any damage or anything through that. So yeah, that was a highlight for me. Excellent. Couldn't agree more, mate. Awesome. All right. What about one of the challenges?
A challenge? I've probably got a couple of challenges. So if I can burn up a bit of your time, Tara, I will burn up a bit of your time. So a personal challenge for me is I had a zip that was on my awning, on my rooftop. That was really putting me to the test. I tried silicone spray, I tried baby wipes. But without telling a long story, it's simply the zip had opened up because of that much dirt in it, and it was not making the 2 zips come together. So every time I'd zip it along, it'd open up. And that's not what you need halfway through the trip.
No, absolutely not.
Because zips are not dust-proof, as we've found out. And without a zip there at all, we were in a dusty bed.
Yeah.
So had to get the thinking cap on, and we got that sorted.
Nice.
That's a minor thing. The next thing for me is, because I'm an internal stressor, I stress internal and try and keep it to myself. When G put over the radio, my truck won't start. I had eyes like dinner plates.
That was huge. I think we all did, right? Especially when we heard it running 30 seconds
before. So it was, all jokes aside, all thinking caps on, and I put it down to G that, hey, he had the bits and we could fix it. He was smart enough and prepared enough to be able to carry something that could fail.
Yep.
And we simply pulled it apart, we put it back together, hit the trigger, and we had fire in the hole.
Couldn't agree more. And that, that's a classic about being prepared. Had he not had that fuel pump, and had we not been able to repair the one that was defective,
I don't know what we would have done. We would have obviously had a crack at fixing the buggered one.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to cross that bridge.
No, exactly, mate. But
so, credit where credit's due, and like I say, everyone's got their own strengths, their own weaknesses, but G was smart enough there to carry one of those parts, and
couldn't agree more. Good stuff. Okay, excellent. And mate, if somebody wanted to do a trip like this, what would your recommendation be to them?
Couple of things. One is a navigational system. Both, obviously, you and I run a couple of different navigational systems. I'd never do it without a navigational system, because I'll be honest, that's your lifeline. You know where you are, you know how long it's going to take you to get there, you know the speeds, you know everything. It keeps you on course. It's telling you you're 1 degree out. Without a navigational system, you would never do it. Use technology. It's not that expensive, really, in the scheme of things. Compared to what we spend on our trucks, it's very minor. So that's probably the biggest thing for me. And without blowing horn, having supporting partners, because I couldn't do it by myself. Having our partners with us, keep us fellas on the straight and narrow. That's a big thing.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. That's a very valid point. We'll get to the ladies in a second, but they do jerk the slack out of us when egos and sometimes stupidity get in the road.
So mate, that's what I've got to say.
Good stuff, Matty. Excellent, dude. So, Arch, what was the highlight of the trip for you, mate?
Probably Ruby Gap also. That was a spectacular place.
going for a hike down through the gap, and then finally finding the grave of Mr. Fox.
Yeah, Joseph Fox, was it?
Yeah, Mr. Fox, and then
Mr. Fox.
Mr. Fox, and then we were also looking for the so-called rubies, which turned out to be garnets. when we found the source, the volcanic pimple.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty special. That was pretty good.
That was awesome. Okay, good stuff, mate. Now, what about a challenge that you had?
Challenge? Probably 2 weeks before the trip, we had to do a full engine rebuild on the car. That was just a slight challenge, but once again, thanks to the teamwork of Matt and Tara that helped out, we pulled it out, stripped it, rebuilt it, had it back in, up and running again. So yeah, once again, teamwork. It goes down to teamwork for everyone, all the people in the group. Everyone helps everyone. Nothing was a challenge. We had some issues, but doesn't matter what it was, we overcome it.
Awesome, mate. Good stuff. Excellent. Okay, and last question. If someone wanted to do a trip like this, could you give them any recommendation?
Good group of friends. Be prepared. Plenty of spares. But yeah, enjoy yourself and I think you said listen to other people, because everyone's got different strengths and weaknesses. Other people have done different things, and take advice. Don't think you know everything, because you don't.
Yeah, fair call. Absolutely. Couldn't have said
great.
better, mate. Excellent. Let's move on to the girls. The other important equation, or part of the equation on a trip like this.
The birds behind the trip.
The birds behind the trip, exactly. So, Kimmy, what was the highlight of the trip for you?
The highlight of the trip, the whole trip, probably.
Yeah.
I think everything was amazing to see. The one thing basically is just the dynamics between the group. Everyone just gels together. We're like a puzzle. It all just fits, and there's no qualms. It all just works, and it's lovely spending time with people like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, you wouldn't do a trip without you guys.
No. And you couldn't, I've met people who have done trips, tag-along trips, and they've hated them.
Yep.
Because they've had a bad dynamic of people.
Yep, people aren't compatible. Yep.
Cool. Okay, mate. And a challenge that you faced, either personally or as a team with your partner on the trip.
Challenge would probably be the Ruby Gap walk. I knew it was long, and I knew it was going to be challenging, but I wanted to do it. So I thought, I don't care if my body's going to hurt for a couple of days after. I wanted to do it, and I wanted to see it. It was a long way to go, so yeah.
And you did it.
I did it. Yeah. It hurt like hell. Probably on the way back more than going. But
what was it again?
Yeah.
Was it
7 Ks in?
14k round trip.
14k round trip, yeah.
Yeah, so it was 4 hours, I think. Were we gone? 4 hours? Something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was, I was proud of myself, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I just pushed through the pain, and it was worth it.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, and if somebody wanted to do a trip like this, do you have any recommendations for them?
Just research, take people's advice.
Yeah.
Like Matt said, definitely the HEMA, any sort of map device like that, I think is definitely worth it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, Kimmy. So, Jilly. Don't be a fool. So, Jilly, what was the highlight of the trip for you?
The Ruby Gap walk was I really enjoyed that a lot, and even you helped me hunt for garnets at the end at the lava source, and just spending time with our friends around the fire, just hanging out, the chitter chatter on the radios, the group dynamic is awesome. To have friends like this you can't buy that.
Yeah, super special. Cool. All right. What about one of the challenges that you had during the trip?
Finding private wee spots. The men do not understand this concept. Terry, don't park the truck like that. Then I can't pee anywhere. And when I go to shower, nakedness for all of everyone, and nobody wants to see that. So yes, that's a challenge.
Okay.
It's even a challenge when we stop at the side of the road on the way home to wee. Yep.
Okay, and a recommendation, if one of your friends wanted to do a trip like this, what would you recommend?
The more preparation you do, the better time you will have. Even down to your food. your grocery list, your meal plan, what you're going to have. Don't count on yourself to remember what you're going to have. Write it all down, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what's in each, everything like that. And yep, that just makes it so simple.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill. Hey, Chrissy. So this is, you missed out on the last trip when Scotty took Lyle, so I'll be very interested to hear what you have to say about this particular trip. So, what was the highlight for you on this trip?
Seeing Molly's place.
Molly's place, yes.
I loved Old Endado. It was wonderful. For me, I could have moved in.
Yeah, brilliant. You know what I find amazing too is the highlights that people see and seeing it through their eyes is so different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that.
All right, what about a challenge, mate?
My personal challenge, no phone service.
Yes.
Not being able to communicate with those at home was a struggle.
Yeah, fair
So
call.
for me personally, I struggled with that.
Yeah, fair enough, mate.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, and what about a recommendation that you'd have for somebody who wanted to take something like this on?
Always, never forget your fly head net. Never forget your fly head. So bad.
They were a bit friendly on this trip, weren't they?
It was so bad. Don't go out without a fly net.
Beautiful. All right,
That's
thank
it.
you, Chrissy.
All right.
All right, Sharon. So, what was one of the highlights? And there's many, many, many highlights, but what was one of the highlights for
There has
you?
been many highlights that have already been mentioned by everybody.
Yep.
But my highlight is to talk more about what Kim said. We're very lucky that 4 couples, 8 people could get on so well without having any issues. That is a blessing and is very, very rare. But location highlight would have to be Ruby Gap.
Yep.
I loved it. Got my half a tin of mints full of garnets. Awesome! I'm so happy about that.
Nice.
And also just navigating through all those Humpty Doos, getting to the centre was
The
Geosurvey Centre was awesome.
Nice,
yes.
cool. Okay, and what about a challenge that you faced during the trip?
Poo times.
Who times?
Yeah, like Jill's wee times.
Yeah.
There's just very, very, very minuscule trees that you can go behind, but because we're all so close, who cares, right? At the end of the day.
That's it.
But the Humpty Doos were my issue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
that was
yeah.
very, very hard going.
Yeah, fair enough,
But
fair
it was well worth it. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And last question: if one of your friends was going to do a trip like this, what would be a recommendation you'd pass on?
Be prepared. Be prepared to listen to people, and just have fun.
Awesome, mate.
Yeah.
Awesome, brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the recommendations from everybody here at the group. We have all had a fantastic time. I'd just like to say that I love you guys to bits. Great trip. Thank you.